Lauren Boebert said Biden's statement on what's happening in Cuba failed to condemn communism or socialism. Imagine being afraid to condemn the two most harmful ideologies because you might anger your base, who clearly now embraces those ideologies. Every goddamn day, I wake up and wish for an America that exists, unfortunately, only in the dreams of Republicans. Every fucking day, I just wish that Joe Biden actually abolished ICE, that he was a Marxist, or that the American government was overtaken by Marxist infiltrators. How sweet would that be? Can you imagine the Democratic Party that is currently debating whether or not to expand Medicare coverage to 55-year-olds? A piece of legislation, an expansion that is so broadly popular that even Hillary Clinton added it onto her 2016 campaign, is currently being discussed. That's Marxism? That's socialism, to expand government-provided healthcare to 55-year-olds? Like, expand it all the way down, lower the eligibility age to 55? Really? Those are the communists, dude? The communists who gave up on $15 minimum wage, student debt relief, no solution on the housing crisis, no criminal justice reform, no universal health care measures. That's the communist government. If it's so popular, why don't states just vote it in? I kind of want to learn, says Leftier Than Thou. I don't understand how you can live in the United States of America and maybe, I guess, live under a rock and not recognize that we do not have a representative democracy, that we do not have a democracy at all, and that these sorts of things are not voted in by referendums. And even if there were referendums in particular, they could still be very easily bastardized in favor of capital owners with multi-million-dollar marketing initiatives, multi-billion-dollar marketing initiatives if need be, that manufactured consent is so pervasive and so powerful in America that people literally think that Fidel Castro eats babies. And the reason why you never think about nationalization of the extraction industry or nationalization of natural resource extraction is always paired up with like brutal communist autocracy, and never countries that are robust and viable functioning social democracies like Norway. There is a particular reason for it. There's a reason why we never compare ourselves and our social safety nets to other comparable OECD nations. We only compare ourselves to countries that we have personally had a hand in fucking up. Well, hasn't Norway got oil as a safety net? I mean, okay. The countries that we routinely look towards as like really horrible places to live in, those countries are also oil rich. For example, Venezuela. New Donie O'Sullivan video. Hogwatch, we're moving into that. But before that, this is the last video I'm going to look at with respect to what's going on in Cuba. I want to hear from the brain trust at Fox and Friends, okay? I want to hear what Steve Ducey, Ainsley Earhart, and Brian Kilmeade have to say about what's going on in Cuba. Ryan Grimm. Calling a bunch of random dudes with guns and boats to just sit outside of Cuban territorial waters to send a message is the kind of dumb shit that gets people killed. I hope, as crappy as Florida politics can be, that the state or federal government will step in on it. Looks like a guy out of Miami-Dade named Osdany Velaz, who identifies himself as IG, as the owner of Velaz Contractors, organizing some kind of armada to go to Cuba and do something. Calling for a bunch of dudes in boats to sit outside of Cuban territorial waters? Wow, dude. There's a spot called the Bay of Pigs that has a nice landing zone they could try. Wow, I can't believe... Bay of Pigs 2 Electric Boogaloo, dude. This is literally what they did in Venezuela too, by the way. Yeah, Bay of Pigs 2 will be renamed Bay of Hogs, after the porky hogs that are in support of it. Love it. This is great. Ryan Grimm, who's if you want to email him, you can go to ryangrimm@gmail.com and click on that link. Wait, what? That's Ryan crazy. I love that. You guys are such dumbasses, dude. I forget who did this, but it's such a dumb thing that, like, anyone who clicks on Ryan Grimm's email accidentally will be redirected to twitch.tv/Hasanabi. He's had that for months. Dude, I told him. I literally told him that it redirects. A plea for hashtag SOS Cuba donations via PayPal warns not the right hashtag Cuba or Cubans to avoid funds getting blocked. This is a real-world example of how U.S. backing sanctions limit COVID relief to Cuba. Huh, interesting, guys. But I thought the sanctions were super targeted to Cuban officials, and also there was no issues with like medical supplies getting through. That's weird. What a strange situation. But yeah, the Batista numbers I brought up are important to understand because, like, one of the main criticisms of the Cuban Revolution from like expats, or not expats, but like Cuban reactionaries living in America who are literally like some of the most psychotic Republicans, and younger Cubans in the chat will also admit this. I lived in Miami. I will tell you, okay? Older Cubans are a fucking... They are just, oh my God, okay? They absolutely despise every other Latino population, immigrants. They fucking love shitting on Mexicans. They love shitting on everyone else. They are overwhelmingly Republican, vote Republican, racist as fuck, just all sorts of shit. And think that, like, you know, the postal service and healthcare is communism. And of course they're super smug too, but that's one other thing. But my entire family, dude, yeah. So if you ask those guys, I mean, the embargo, I guess, you know, it's whatever. It has to happen in order to, you know, starve out their relatives that are still living in Cuba so that they can plant a positive capitalist Chile-style regime in Cuba. Stop invalidating their experiences. Fidel taking their slaves was extremely damaging to their mental health. Yeah. But they routinely talk about the abuse and the violence that they were and their family members were subjected to under the Cuban Revolution or under the Fidel Castro regime. And that violence is absolutely like marginal in comparison to any other fucking country at the time, whether it be the United States and its domestic policies towards black people in that same fucking period of time, or whether it be any other country or the preceding Batista dictatorship that was toppled. Okay? So violence, you have to understand, unless you're a fucking baby, is unfortunately a part of politics. Okay? I would choose not to have any sort of violence, of course. I think that no violence is the way to go. This notion that, like, you know, Cuba is uniquely violent or Castro was uniquely violent is ridiculous. If communism, which is not even what is happening in Cuba, but if, like, this concept is so indefensible and so destined for doom, then why doesn't America just let Cuba fail on its own? Why is it that they need to constantly fucking tilt the scales? It's so strange to me, guys. I don't understand it. Just let it fucking fail on its own, dude. I'm just saying, if fucking socialism is destined for doom and destruction, why is America constantly doing everything they can to topple socialist regimes?
News. You thought it would have happened maybe 40 years ago, maybe 50, but it's happening now. And there's unrest in the streets of Cuba. And it came out because, okay, we know the coronavirus is an issue. We know that economically it put the whole world on its back. But people of Cuba want their freedom, and they finally feel bold enough to protest in the streets in front of this brutal regime.
Yeah, chanting freedom, calling for the president to step down. They have a surge in the coronavirus cases, a shortage of just basic goods, things that we all might take for granted. They can't.
Bro, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Fox News talking about a shortage of goods in Cuba. How quickly do you think they will justify the embargo as a necessity, you think?
Get in their country.
Well, like food. They need food, and
hacked off about it, and that's why thousands went out in the streets yesterday. You never see this kind of dissent because it's always limited. And it's interesting because the communists did allow the dissent to go on for a couple of hours. On Twitter, there's some video of protesters turning over a police car. Looks like the United States. Another video.
He's not dead or anything. He's just like passed out.
Looting from a government-run store. And here's the thing. We hear about, oh, the government-run store. Everybody gets everything they want. The government-run store sells wildly overpriced stuff with currencies that most Cubans marching there in the streets of Havana don't own.
And Brian, you're friends with the mayor of Miami. You've talked to him. You've interviewed him. And he's been tweeting about this, and he's been speaking out about it. Here's something he had to say.
That's kind of weird that they're no longer having a fucking pro-cop take here. That's so strange. Like, I wonder, wait, that's weird. When black people do this in America, they're like, oh, what the fuck are you doing? But when the Cuban people do it in Cuba, you're like, oh, dude, this is so sick. This is poggers. I love this, dude. Please. Please. No law, no order, please. Interesting take. Huh.
The regime must end now. It is not negotiable. We ask for national intervention led by the United States to protect the Cuban people from a bloodbath.
Dude, what a psycho. Dude, I hear shit like this and I'm like, what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do? That's so insane, dude. You're a fucking piece of shit, dog. You are such a piece of shit. Like, to have no shame and openly call for a coup d'etat led by the United States, like a military intervention, is just nuts to me.
Cubans are worthy and ready to rule themselves without tyranny. It can end today, and it must end today. The implications of this moment can mean freedom for millions of people in this hemisphere, from Nicaraguans to Venezuelans and so many more.
The question is, how do we get involved? Do we just sit there and cheer from the sidelines? Jake Sullivan came out and tweeted out the U.S.
Bro, you got to give me something more than a fucking cop yelling at a protester. If you're going to launch the argument that, like, this is brutal, this is literally, like, this is the least violent cop altercation I have seen since the beginning of 2020. Like,
U.S. supports
like
freedom.
Show me the fucking tear gas. Show me the rubber bullets, like, that are taking out the eyes of Cuban protesters, and then we'll start talking.
Of expression, assembly across Cuba would strongly condemn any violence or targeting of peaceful protesters. But I mean, we obviously been burned before trying to help out that sense of freedom that existed for.
Do you want the vids showing people fleeing from shooting? I do want to see it, and I have seen it. I mean, it does happen. It's just kind of sad that, like, as an American looking at this, I'm like, fuck, man, that's like the tamest. That's the most tame political protest here, dude.
Generations in Cuba. Teddy Roosevelt fought there, obviously, and for a while it looked like they were going to have a free, and the mob actually had a huge presence there for a while. They were going to be a free Cuba. They were walking with American flags yesterday. We are an inspiration. We should be embracing the inspiration we give them.
Listen, here's the thing. Cuba is 90 miles away from Florida.
It blows my mind when a single cop can, like, dive into the crowd with a fucking baton, though. That's kind of crazy. Like, how the fuck? Like, how are they not, like, jumping on top of him? In America, that never happens. Like, you literally come in with a massive single file line and, like, beat people evenly like a fucking Roman legion. You know what I mean? Like, they roll up like the turtle with the turtle fucking technique, like a bunch of legionnaires, and, like, start fucking clapping fools.
Florida is wide open. You want to see, freedom? Go to Florida. And these people would like to have in Cuba what they've got in Florida. And that is why the protests.
I mean, it's true. Yes. These people would like to have in Cuba what they have in Florida, which is, like, no embargoes. Okay? Like, access to modern equipment and shit because of no embargoes. So, yeah, you're right. They do. And they want it to be in they want that to be in Cuba. They want that freedom in Cuba. That's fucking insane. that they are having this conversation without recognizing what that revolves around.
Yesterday were some of the biggest they've had in that country since 1994, which is when people started floating away from Cuba on boats.
And rafts.
Some have suggested these are the biggest protests since 1959 when the Castros came into power. But what's interesting, our federal government, rather than saying, you know what, they just want freedom, they've got an interesting take on it. Julie Cheng, who is the State Department acting assistant secretary, said peaceful protests.
Yeah, they want Cuba to be like Florida, a place where like a Florida courthouse had to shut down because in the aftermath of the other building that fucking pancaked and collapsed, they realized that a bunch of fucking buildings in Florida were also not up to code. You know, that kind of situation. Everyone would benefit more from being like Florida, just the most psychotic libertarian paradise.
That flies in the face of turning over the police car and the looting. Peaceful protests are growing in Cuba as the Cuban people exercise their right to peaceful assembly to express, here's the good part, concern about rising COVID cases, the deaths, and medicine shortages. We commend the numerous efforts of the Cuban people mobilizing donations to help neighbors in need. So what they're saying is people are angry about COVID, which, wait a minute, how many times have you heard that people say, you know, the great thing about socialized medicine, particularly in Cuba, is everybody's got great health care? Well, that's not the case down in Cuba, and coronavirus cases are surging.
Well, and one of the protesters said,
Wait, dude, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Since January, COVID has started skyrocketing in Cuba. Okay? It started skyrocketing in Cuba. And it is bad now. But up until fucking January, COVID cases in Cuba were minuscule, dude. It was literally nothing.
So we're going through really difficult times and we need a change of system. So it's not about COVID. It's about the socialist regime. It's about communism. And they can't even get food for their families.
I mean, their cop cars are Etzels. I mean, they haven't modernized anything since the Western presidents left. They have a huge potential there just with tourism alone, should they ever open up their doors and overthrow this communist. But the problem is China's got a presence there, and the problem is Russia's got a presence there. Are they going to let...
Yeah, these other communist nations like communist Russia, dude.
This sphere of influence go by the boards? Dan Crenshaw sees opportunity and is
unacceptable, the situation in Cuba. They just don't have access to food and medicine. And that's really unacceptable. I wonder why. Oh, because communism. That's why they don't have that. Nothing else. Please don't look at anything else. Perhaps there is something else that's going on in Cuba with respect to, you know, amenities and goods that they can have access to. Nothing. Just don't think about it, dude.
Or dismayed.
No, they're chanting libertad. They're chanting libtards. Stop playing cover for communists and the support of Cuban people. My God, why is that so hard for you? They're all hogs, brother. They're chanting libtards out. Peaceful protests are growing in Cuba as the Cuban people exercise their right to peaceful assembly to express concerns about rising COVID cases, deaths, and medicine shortages. We commend the numerous efforts of the Cuban people mobilizing donations to help neighbors in need.
I should say about that lack of convicted and direct tweet from the New York Times and others says, no, they're not chanting. No, they are chanting libertard, which means liberty. Stop.
He said libertard.
Stop playing cover for communists and support the Cuban people. My God, why is this so hard for you?
Marco Rubio's family from Cuba, he sees it exactly as it is. Listen.
It's now been over 12 hours since over 32 cities in Cuba, brave people have taken to the streets to protest against communist, Marxist, evil tyranny. And so far, not a word, not a statement from Joe Biden, from the vice president, from the White House, not a word. Why are they so uncomfortable coming forward and just condemning this evil, socialist, Marxist regime? It's been 62 years while these people have been out there suffering. And then I see this tweet here.
Dude, he's so wet. Okay, dude. The funniest thing is that the funniest thing I want to mention here is that like every single thing that Marco Rubio is saying is unironically exactly the fucking He's the most moist motherfucker on the planet, dude. I swear to God. He is so... Like, the funniest thing that Donald Trump ever said was talk about how little Marco is always sweating. Okay? Just the most moist motherfucker in America. Doesn't matter. It's not just a Florida thing. He just is just a moist dude. Okay? Like, there's nothing that Joe Biden could say that would that Marco Rubio would agree with. Especially when Joe Biden is saying exactly the same things that Marco Rubio is saying with respect to Cuba. This is the same energy. This is the same energy with, like, you know, Joe Biden is not supporting Israel hard enough as Israel was, like, mowing the lawn in the Gaza Strip, you know? It's like, what is he supposed to do? Just murder a fucking Palestinian child on camera? Is he supposed to do a fucking, you know, beheading? Is that when Joe Biden will support... Will demonstrate his full unconditional support to Israel? Like, is that what you expect from him? Like, I don't get it. Same with fucking Cuba. Like, what do you want him to do?
From the State Department, you've got a socialist regime that says to people, you have no freedom, you have no independence, you have no ability to speak freely, but you have a really good healthcare system. They don't. Of course, COVID has a role to play, but
They don't. Except they literally have a higher life expectancy than we do. So what the fuck? Like, if they have a shit-ass healthcare system, then doesn't that mean we have an even worse healthcare system? So what's up with that, dude? Explain that to me, motherfucker. Just please. I know there's a multitude of different reasons for life expectancy, obviously, but, like, still. The U.S. is a healthcare system? Yeah.
This began well before COVID. These people are frustrated. They want to live in a normal country. So why can't the State Department, why can't the White House just say it clearly? This is about freedom. Say it.
Well, as you've heard, some of the lawmakers are upset. They're speaking out about this. But Bernie Sanders, who a year ago praised...
The socialist?
Exactly. Praised Fidel Castro for what he's done for the kids and the education and the literacy program. But he's staying silent.
Bro, that's literally what... Oh, God. Why aren't they attacking Barack Obama and Joe Biden, who said the exact same things that Bernie Sanders said about the many benefits of the Castro regime with respect to education and healthcare, and access to education and access to healthcare in general? I mean, it's the truth. Like, I don't understand. How can you fucking sit here and criticize, like, improving the literacy rate, dude? These people are such psychopaths, dude. I mean, I know why, because they don't want you to fucking read, but, you know.
And it's making a lot of people upset.
Right, and we haven't heard from Joe Biden yet either, but we have heard from the New York Times. They tweeted this out, shouting freedom and other anti-government slogans. So freedom is an anti.
New York Times, by the way. It is very suspicious when the New York Times, which is supposed to be this, like, liberal outlet, is saying exactly the same things that conservatives are saying with respect to America's foreign adversaries and ideological enemies, dude. So weird. So strange. So strange if the New York Times is supposed to be a bunch of libtards and communists to have the exact same takeaway. Shouting freedom and other anti-government slogans, hundreds of Cubans took to the streets and cities around the world, around the country on Sunday, protest food and medicine shortages in a remarkable eruption of discontent not seen in nearly 30 years.
Anti-government slogan. Hundreds of Cubans took to the streets in the cities around the country on Sunday to protest food and medicine shortages. That's all true. In a remarkable eruption of discontent not seen in nearly 30 years. So they say that freedom is an anti-government slogan, but they do not say what the State Department did, which is it's key to...
Dude, there is perhaps no better instance of irony that these fucking animals over at Fox News wagging their fucking fingers at the Cuban government for not being able to provide vaccines to their citizens, as like the rest of the fucking content from Fox News for the day is going to be about how vaccines make you autistic and homosexual. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Shouldn't they be celebrating that Cuba is, like, free of the dangers of 5G coronavirus vaccines? Are you fucking nuts? They literally will be like, and now, next up, vaccines. Do they make you gay? Or was I gay beforehand? Why do dicks taste delicious? Find out more. I'm Brian Kilmeade. It's like, really? Like you're just gonna do that? You're gonna fucking be like, these guys, they're protesting the government because the government won't give them COVID vaccines. That's crazy. Newsmax is pro polio to own the libs. Shut the fuck up. Dude, these people are like, oh God, these people need to go to jail, dude. I swear, like, I don't know how to deal with these motherfuckers, dude.
One thing I've always thought, and maybe you can guide me on this because obviously I'm not a doctor, but when I've always thought about vaccines, and I always think about just nature and the way everything works. And I feel like a vaccination in a weird way is just generally kind of going against nature. Like, I mean, if there is some disease out there, maybe there's just an ebb and flow to life where something's supposed to wipe out a certain amount of people, and that's just kind of the way evolution goes. Vaccines kind of stand in the way of that. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Is he making a fucking natural selection argument here? Like he's saying that we shouldn't have vaccines because people that are susceptible to death from preventable diseases should die? Dog, you are the one who's gonna die. You're a fucking caveman. You're a fucking ape, dude. Who do you think survives with the natural selection take? Not you. The best part about this, and I can't speak for Newsmax, but I can with a certainty speak for Fox News, is that every single one of those motherfuckers at Fox News had to get vaccinated. They had to get vaccinated to return back to fucking Fox News. So all of those fucking assholes at Fox News that create this like controversy around vaccines as though there should be any controversy whatsoever. They got vaccinated. They got theirs. They're just lying to you and your dumbass fucking parents who believe them.
Does that make sense to somebody in medicine?
Well, there are some reports that support what you're saying. There's one by Neeson and colleagues from Boston and the Mayo Clinic that shows among vaccinated populations, the diversity of different strains is narrowing. So it's going to be fewer numbers of strains. Right now in the United States, we're about 40% UK variant or the Alpha variant, and we're about 30% now Delta, which is the Indian variant. They get progressively weaker, but the diversity is changing with vaccination. And I think probably the best way to think about it is vaccines really ought to be targeted to protect the highest risk individuals. A young person like you, if you got COVID, it's very easily treatable. You get through it. And natural immunity for sure is superior.
Yeah, that's you make a good point there. Again, it's like if you've got this big risk, I think it might be worth whatever it is. But if you don't have a risk, I can't comprehend why you would take something. They start learning about the heart inflammation and stuff like that. I just don't understand why it's being pushed so hard on people that are very young, and now they're trying to give it to kids. You saw today, the CDC saying that going back to school in the fall, it looks like if your kid's not vaccinated, they're going to have to wear a mask next year. What are your thoughts on that?
This is the doctor they just showed. U.S. cardiologist makes false claims about COVID-19 vaccination. Peter McCullough, MD, MPH testimony. There's no reason for healthy people under the age of 50 or those who've recovered from COVID-19 to be vaccinated against the virus and been viewed by hundreds of times. Fighting the good fight to preserve the practice of private medicine since 1943. The Association of American Physicians and Surgeons. Oh my God. The video has been shared on various websites. The US CDC recommend vaccination. Wait, I want to know what this fucking dude's background is, though. He strikes me as one of those, like, mega Christian doctors. You know what I mean? It's great, dude. Yeah, I have a fucking, like, esthetician that's going to come in later. A plastic surgeon who's going to come in and tell you all about how fucking COVID is fake, actually. I love that, dude. I love when fucking dudes are just like, I'm a cardiologist. Let me tell you something, brother. Like, you don't need any background in epidemiology. Like, you just, why? Why would you learn about that when I just know all of it? Do you think Joe Biden will eventually make the vaccine mandatory? Absolutely not. They're too much of a pussy to do so. They should, though. I think what we should do, unironically, is follow the lead. And I cannot believe I'm saying this. I can't believe I'm saying this. The words literally can't come out of my mouth. Hold on, I need to take a moment. No, not China. Not Israel. Worse. I think we should follow the lead of England. And have vaccine passports. Oh, that was so painful. That was so painful for me to say. To openly admit that Bruvland is doing something smarter than us. God, that fucking hurt. Oh, that hurt so much worse. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, boys, but Boris is right, bruv. He's fucking right, bruv. They're doing mandatory vaccine passports, bruv, in the fall, in autumn, yeah? And they're fucking doing it, yeah? He's coming home. France just announced the same thing. I think Germany announced it too, but it's just sad. It's sad to admit. You never want to be there. Like, you never want to see yourself become the villain and admit that the UK is doing something right. Especially the fucking Boris Johnson government, nonetheless. Boris said, I'll fucking shank you with a needle, bruv. That was a very sad thing to admit. Holy shit. Okay. Now let's get to some fun shit, okay? Let's get to some fun shit.
It was very...
We are going to bring in friend of the show, Donaldo. Donie O'Sullivan. From the trenches, boys. Our boy, Donie O'Sullivan, went down to Dallas. All right? He went down to fucking Dallas. And he covered CPAC Dallas. Here is what he saw down there.
Pretty much the Trump show here in town this weekend. We spoke to a lot of people, probably 20 or 30 people. Every single one of them, pretty much everybody, believed that both the election was stolen and also lies about the insurrection. I mean, it is quite sad when, you know, speaking to so many folks who have bought into this conspiracy theory about the election, which is now undermining their faith in American democracy. You know, so many folks told us as well that they might not even trust the results of the next year's midterm elections.
Do you accept he lost the election?
I accept that on paper things happened to make it appear that way. I don't know what would have happened. Right. I find it very questionable that he lost, given the support that he had.
Do you think what happened on January 6th was a stain on Trump's presidency?
Absolutely not. Yeah. He didn't.
I love this because, like, at least these people are fucking, like, they're honest. They like it. They're just like, they're admitting that what happened there. They're not mixing their words. Like, it's just like, yeah, that was good. That shit was fucking tight, dude. We need to do that again. The hog insurrection was fucking sick. I respect that. Okay.
Invoke any kind of violence. He didn't say anything that was all just honestly ridiculous. A few people acted out of millions of people that attended, or well, I wouldn't say millions, but close to a million.
Yes, I would. I'm a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Wait, hold on. Sorry, I was too busy changing the fucking title to Hogwatch 2021, but I'm sorry. What did she say?
Or well, I wouldn't say millions, but close to a million. Just honestly ridiculous. A few people acted out of millions of people that attended, or well, I wouldn't say millions, but close to a million.
Yes, I would. I'm a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you accept that he lost the election?
Yeah, he did lose the election, but I believe there are some discrepancies, and those will be revealed at some point.
What are you hoping to hear from Trump?
That he is going to regain his rightful seat as president.
In 2024?
No.
When?
As soon as the election is overturned for the election fraud.
Dude, oh God, this is what happens, dude. Listen, I don't want to come across like a dare guy, but you actually should not overdose on copium. This will happen to you, okay? Here is a public service announcement, folks. These are the dangers of overdosing on copium. If you take too much copium, you will overdose. You will start thinking that Donald Trump is still the president. Or when faced with the reality that he's not, you will start thinking that he's going to return. And you'll think to yourself, he's going to return in, January 20th at the actual, handover ceremony. He's going to return in February. He's going to return in March, April, May, June, July. Before you know it, it's August, and you still think he's returning, but he's not returning. Fuck! Just one more hit, you think, okay? You say, hey, give me the fucking copium pipe, okay? I need to have one more fucking go at this and remind myself of how beautiful things were back in 2016 when the libtards were being owned, you know what I mean? And we were just like, Nazis were marching on the fucking streets and shit. Like, can we just go back to that for a brief moment? And then you are faced with the sad reality that it's actually 2021. We are doing a damn good job so far of, pushing back on COVID with the vaccination programs. Things are opening back up again. And worst of all, for my point of view, but maybe not for your point of view, America is doing the exact same shit that they were doing under the Trump administration. But now it's being done by a Democrat. So that hurts your feelings. But still, just close your eyes and think, maybe it's my old racist white guy in power still, and not yours.
Do you guys think the election was fair?
No.
No.
They tried to tell us the Tarrant County election, we went blue for the first time since 1962.
It's not called an insurrection to me. What about it was an insurrection?
They stormed the Capitol.
Who's they?
The Trump supporters, right?
A lot of conflicting thoughts coming in from half the people who are saying, no, the insurrection was real and good. And half the people saying, no, it wasn't real. It was Antifa. A lot of confusion there. So who stormed the White House? Who stormed the Capitol?
I mean, I'm sorry. Bullshit. You don't know who those people were.
No, some Trump supporters were invited in, and there's video and there's audio that they said, come on in.
Yeah, that is suspicious. The fact that a police force that is, like 84% Republican historically and certainly love Donald Trump would just open the doors to other hogs and allow them to just walk right in. What a fucking weird situation that was. Man. That's crazy, dude. That's wild. I mean, did you not see the fucking videos where people were like, we're on your side, just let us in, motherfucker. Like, come on. It's about to be a hog-on-hog violence here.
So a lot to unpack there, John. You did hear from one woman who mentioned that Trump could come back before 2024. And we know that was a concern of the Department of Justice last week, who said, this sort of talk, this fantasy that he could be reinstated into office before 2024, somehow the election could be overturned, that there was concerns that could provoke further violence. Most people we spoke to, at CPAC this weekend did not believe that this reinstatement thing would actually work out. Most are focused on looking towards 2024. But John, pretty much everybody we spoke to believed the election was stolen.
I'm going to talk to Bill Kristol. He's the director of Defending Democracy Together. Bill, I really appreciate you joining us. Look, there's a lot to discuss from CPAC, but I want to start with the vaccination thing, and I want to play it one more time because you have a crowd of Republicans, conservatives, cheering low vaccination rates. Listen.
Because clearly they were hoping, the government was hoping, that they could sort of sucker 90% of the population into getting vaccinated, and it isn't happening, right? There's a younger people.
Yay, baby! Fucking yay! That's Alex Berenson. He used to work at the fucking New York Times like 14 years ago. He's one of them good ones. He's libtard right there, but he's got the credentials, brother. I fucking love you. Alex Berenson, the most wrong man in America, literally fucking the anti-weed Andy that Joe Rogan had on. Just goes to show conservatives will actually believe anyone as long as they're just, as long as they say the things that they want to hear. Oh, God, hold on. I got to read this. Hold on. I am not a reactionary. You're not making an actual argument. You're just engaging in puerile, lavatorial abuse. It is extraordinarily unbecoming of you. You should know better. Learn to argue. Can you cite any RCTs? How does the existence of multiple legal poisons in our society justify the addition of another? Again, put forward an argument for change. If you're so right, then it shouldn't be difficult. Go ahead. Now, for those of you who are new here, that's a classic Fabian syndicalist take, who thinks that weed makes you into a monster and causes you to act out in incredibly violent ways. And he believes this because Alex Berenson also is anti-weed Andy who makes this argument. Wow, that was a big saga. Remember Fabian syndicalist? Gone but not forgotten.
I mean, is this rooting for people to die, Bill?
Yeah, it's good morning, John. It's pretty horrifying. Though I do want to say first that you're absolutely right about
literally a monster, okay? That person is a fucking monster. Why is oh god, I hate the media so much. They literally are the fucking worst, dude. They are the worst. I don't care about what fucking Bill Kristol has to say about anything, okay? I don't care.
About the penalty kicks. Do not let Brianna ridicule you or shame you out of your true position that they should keep playing until someone scores a legitimate goal. Getting on to more serious things. Well, maybe that is the most serious thing. I don't know. You've probably already gotten 27,000 emails, attacking you for not understanding that penalty kicks are the greatest thing ever or whatever. But I'm with you on that, John. Look, on the vaccine, it's horrifying. I mean, I never thought we would see a big movement be more irresponsible than they've been on the election denial. And therefore, and what that implies with the attack on voting rights and the attempt to lay the groundwork for subverting the next election. But I've got to say on vaccines, a large part of the conservative movement is even worse. They're encouraging behavior that will make people sick, kill some people, and keep the vaccine alive in the country, which ultimately endangers young people, people under 12 who don't have the vaccine.
I think I despise Never Trump Republicans more than I despise like regular hogs, you know what I mean? Like I think the conspiracy Andys who are like QAnon supporters and psychos, like I really prefer them to Bill Kristol and others who have. You can say disagree all you want. These guys are actual demons, okay? Working for the Bush administration and subjecting the rest of the world to untold amounts of cruelty. Writing policy and defending policy that has destabilized the fucking planet. And then they turn around and say stuff like, they turn around and they act like they're liberals now when they're not. And try to absolve themselves of all the wrongs of the past without even ever taking account said wrongs. I think that is so fucking indecent and so disgusting. All of these people should be in jail, okay? All of them. Every single person that has worked in the George W. Bush administration should be in fucking jail. They should be under the Hague, okay? So this notion that they can like come around and parade themselves as like reformed media personalities without any sort of like demonstration of reform whatsoever or any self-reflection is disgusting to me. CNN is disgusting for consistently and routinely platforming these fucking monsters. So is MSNBC. So is the entirety of the liberal media. That absolutely loves showing this like insignificant constituency that does not exist outside of the liberal elite circles. Okay.
Vaccine yet, and the rest of us, because at some point we,
Wait, I'm sorry. To be clear, you prefer Kristol to MTG Gomer? No, of course not, dude. Of course not. I'm talking about the fucking random QAnon dickweeds. Like on the street, you know what I mean? Like a random conservative hog who's like an anti-vaxxer and a fucking QAnon supporter is still significantly, like has caused significantly less violence than Bill Kristol ever, or that person will never be as violent or as destructive or as deadly as Bill Kristol was in his lifespan.
the stronger the virus is, the more the variants can spread, and more can come to exist. The more we are ultimately in danger. I actually think people need to be tougher on this. And this kind of, Dr. Thomas is very good on this, but, we have to encourage people to do more is what a lot of people are saying. We've got to make the case.
What's their take on booster shots on new variants as a way to increase profits by the healthcare industry? I absolutely think it is. Oh, dude, I'm going to be fucking anti-vaxxer as fuck on that one. I was going to talk about this later. I don't know if we'll have time to talk about it today, so I'll just briefly mention it. But I think Pfizer petitioning the government to have booster shots is sus as fuck, especially when the CDC is literally saying no booster shots are necessary right now, especially when even the Delta variant has almost 95% efficacy, which is a little bit lower than the other than the mRNA vaccines. The mRNA anti-science. How is that fucking anti-science? Booster shots for the current iteration of COVID, according to the fucking CDC, are not necessary, dude. And we already know that Pfizer executives literally talked about how booster shots are going to be the way that they make money. It's 88. CDC's probably wrong, lol. It's lower for Delta, but still significantly higher than the flu shot, the seasonal flu shot. Okay? It's only 95% against severe illness, only 80 to 86 against symptomatic disease. 95 is against the first strain of COVID, not the variants. No, I'm talking about Delta. And from what we have seen thus far, even with the Delta variant, the COVID shots, or the ones that we have currently, Pfizer and Moderna, are very effective, significantly more effective than the regular seasonal flu shots. Not to trust the company, but why trust the CDC when they've been shady as fuck as well? I will trust the CDC over Pfizer 100%. Yeah, I will trust the CDC over Pfizer. The reason why I would not trust the CDC is because they literally operate at the behest of corporate interests. So why would you, cut the middleman out and then fucking trust the corporation instead? The fuck?
Case. I don't know. I think we need to think about something close to mandating it or making benefits dependent on it or making admission to all kinds of places, whether it's schools, universities, airplanes, facilities, a contingent on being vaccinated. I mean, it really is ridiculous for us to be tolerating what is now something that we wouldn't tolerate. We make people wear seat belts. We have speed limits. We make kids show their vaccination card when they come to, from their doctor when they enroll in elementary or secondary.
Okay, this sucks that the second part of this is tarnished. The first part of it is great with Donie O'Sullivan, and the second part is fucking tarnished, dude, with Bill Kristol's ugly ass face.